Hey guys, welcome. Interesting. So, okay, dokie. Hope everything's all right with you. Is somebody here? Let me know in the chat if everything works. What I'm just preparing, I'm just looking into. I'm on a different computer here, so I started a Reddit post a few minutes or a few hours ago. So if you come from Reddit, nice, you're here. Nice that you're here. Yeah, I thought let's do this like an Ask Me Anything, like this one here on Reddit that I created, and just chat a bit, tell you about the academy and what's coming and stuff that I have posted. Hey Vasant, welcome. Concon MC, hey, welcome. Yeah, so let me know if you're coming from the Reddit post. Actually, I went there. We went through a lot of questions. How many are there right now? 75 comments. Basically, I went through a lot of them. One was, do you need to become a math or be a math genius to be good at data engineering? No, you don't. Absolutely don't need to. Join the live streams. Oh, there are actually a few that I missed. Or did I? No, actually, I actually answered these. There are a few that I have to answer. A few new ones here. Basically everything I answered. Hey Arslan. And there are, yeah, Step into DE. Hey Oleg, welcome. Yeah. That's it. I also, I want to talk about, we can talk about certifications. Have you done a certification for data engineering? What are the best data engineering certifications? I have in the cookbook a few things that I've added this week. Doesn't matter. You can ask the questions whenever you want. I'm here. I do the live stream, so if you if you want to get direct feedback and quickly re-ask questions, you can also put them here. On Reddit, I'm going to, after the stream, go, and if it's something more complex, I'm going to go and I'm going to answer them on Reddit. It's just, I thought, let's do a big Reddit Ask Me Anything. I wanted to do this for a long time, and finally today I thought like, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's not wait more. And yeah. I have doubts on the data type. Please clarify that in Power BI. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean, data type in Power BI? I don't know. Yeah, so There were a few really good questions in on Reddit. Let's look at a few. Yeah, basically one that said, okay, I'm coming from I'm from non-technical background, business and work and finance. Is it possible to self-learn skills and tools necessary to become a data engineer? And I think these are one of the things that we get a lot. How can I move to data engineering without having so much of a computer science expertise or computer science education? You can. The only thing is you need to, like for this person, you need to stay in the domain. Domain experience is very important, especially if you want to get into a new topic, like technical topic, or changing your role into something different. So I think that's a good way of actually getting into data engineering, staying within the financial market and then learning the skills or the tools that they need, and then basically slowly graduating or moving to this other role. I think it's a cool way of doing it. Let's see, what do we have here? I'm a senior data engineer, 6 years of experience, only really worked in GCP. What's the problem? I don't know. It's good. GCP is a good platform. There's nothing wrong with GCP. GCP is fine. Like, what are you struggling with GCP? Yes, a lot of companies use Azure and AWS, but you should be able to move to GCP easy. That shouldn't be a big deal. From GCP to these platforms, I mean, easy. But there are also a lot of companies around that who are searching for GCP people. So maybe learn new tools on GCP, right? Depending on what you've done. But with 6 years of experience, that's a lot. It's a lot of experience. And I think that is very valuable. Yeah. So by the way, what I wanted to say, what I've done this week, I also added. Okay. Sorry, the question got shut off. I'm getting a bit bored. My options are trying to upskill in other clouds or try to work more on ML projects. I mean, the question is, what do you want to do? What's your goal? Do you want to stay at the company? Do you want to stay on GCP and do more? Like I said, learn other things on GCP? Or are you looking for a change anyway? And that change is on a different platform with a different company. Then it might make sense to also look at a different cloud platform. But if you're fine with GCP and if you're an expert on GCP, my first intent or my first feeling would be go with GCP. I'll learn more on GCP, be able to help more on GCP with, for instance, MLOps. Right. Okay, Arslan, I think I can't help you really with that, because as an engineer, you don't do that much with Power BI. So you create a project plan with dates. I'm not sure. I think I'm the wrong person for this, actually. I don't know. How much time does it take to finish all the courses in your academy to a level where we are prepared for interviews? So, what are we talking about? So what we are talking about here, we're talking about the academy. Let's go to academy. We're talking about all these courses, right? That we have on here. 30 plus courses. How long do you take? You don't need all of them, right? Depending on your background, where you're coming from, an analyst needs a bit of a different stuff than a scientist. A software developer needs a bit of other stuff than everybody else. So you don't need to do everything here. right? It's good to have the fundamentals parts. You go through the basics. Let's say you start as an analyst. It makes sense to go with Python. Here, let me make it a bit bigger. Go with Python for data engineers, understand what we're doing with Python, understand Docker, right? SQL for data engineering might be simple for you because you're already an analyst and you already do so much stuff. Then I think here on the right, oh, my mouse cursor is not here. Sorry. Then on the right side here, platform pipeline design, that is important. Choosing data stores so that you also know the other data stores except relational databases and basically analytic stores where the data warehouses are built on. Maybe relational data modeling is something that you need. And then you would go and you would say, okay, do I want to move directly to the cloud here, like AWS, Azure, or GCP? Do you want to do something with MongoDB? And therefore, depending on what you want, you would select individual things. Like if it's something with Spark, you would start with Spark fundamentals, and then, for instance, do something with Spark on AWS, and so on. So, I would say if you start this, like I have this here, within 1 month you can have the fundamentals down, and within 3 months you can either do data engineering on one of the clouds, or you could say you build an open source platform, or you go with something else. You write Snowflake, Databricks. You go with Spark fundamentals, then go into Databricks. Go with Snowflake and dbt, and this kind of things. I think really you don't need super long to learn data engineering. The only thing is you need to focus and focus on the things that you learn, and also focus on that based on what do the jobs require, right? Sorry. So that, I think that is something very important that you need to keep in mind. But yeah, I'd say 3 months, 5 months. I'm a student in your data engineering bootcamp. Maybe the chemist so far has been a blast. My question is, what is the market looking like in the United States for data engineering? Well, the market right now is very difficult. Oops. Oh man. The market. Okay, there's a second part to this question, but let's take the second part to this in a second. So the market right now is very difficult, especially for beginners and for, let's say, if you have 2-3 years of experience. So if you're not at the senior level yet, let's say everybody below senior right now is difficult because companies are, first of all, for juniors, companies are looking for people that are experienced already. So they are reluctant to hire juniors. I know examples where people apply to jobs at consultancy firms, and where they basically did training on the job in the beginning, and then through that actually get ready to do this. But for juniors, it's difficult right now. For professionals, it's also difficult because there are so many applicants for jobs, right? So you need to be very quick with applying. I've heard from people that recruiters say if they have 100, 200 applicants for a role, they're only looking at the first 20, 30. And if there's already a bunch of people in there that are good, they're going to just drop everybody else and not even look at these. So you need to be very quick. I think on LinkedIn you can set alarms for this. By the way, why am I filming only in 720p here? What the? I'm start recording this as well. Right, so that is something where you need to be very quick right now, because companies can actually get so many or have so many applicants, and it's so easy to get people right now. So be quick, have a good CV, apply to jobs. generally, I think the market right now is in a bit of an upswing. It's getting better. Yes, John, this is live. So we're in a bit of an upswing, and it feels like finally the stagnation that we had in the beginning of the year is finished, and it's getting better. I don't know if it's just a thing. Like if you look at the Bitcoin, for instance, and if you look at the S&P 500 and so on, everything's going up. Yeah, let's see. Also, where can I learn cloud technology like AWS and Azure? I mean, I don't want to be too forceful here, but like look at all courses here. All courses, scroll down here. Full hands-on projects, AWS, Azure, GCP, machine learning and containerization on AWS. We're right now working, and I'm filming this. I think it's planned for next week. Terraform on Azure. That's also something that is coming. Hadoop. We also have stuff here. Snowflake. We have stuff on Databricks. Where's Databricks? Databricks. So these kind of things. Basically, you can start learning this with my academy. You could also start with doing certifications on AWS. That was something I wanted to talk about. In the free cookbook, if you search Data Engineering Cookbook, you will get to my cookbook. I added here, let's go to the updates. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Let's see, updates. I added on the weekend here a list of certifications that make sense for data engineers. We've been going through this lately and searching for, okay, what are good certifications but basically only for AWS and for Azure. And we were looking at, okay, what are what's the name of the certification? What's the price of the certification? What level is this? And then we added a few. If there are prerequisites, we added the prerequisites. And so basically for Azure, you could start with a Azure Fundamentals first. On AWS, you could start with a certified cloud practitioner, right? Why did I put maybe in here? And then you could go for solutions architect or for certified data engineer, which are in the intermediate ones, as well as here on Microsoft also has these fundamentals and data engineer, the DP203. That is one that a lot of people do, and we have the links here to them, so you can move to these topics. And basically, yeah, let's say this, you can move here, and then you can have the overview and start practicing for the exam. And they have a course for this, and so it's pretty cool. This you can easily do. What modern tools would you recommend for data governance? That is always difficult with data governance. So for me is always the question, what is the basis of data governance? What do you need for data governance? And the thing that you need for data governance is a good data catalog, right? Where all the data is in there and the data is specified, and where you can have an overview really of what is there. I'm not the big data governance guy. This is something that lately comes up more and more, but I would start with a good data cataloging tool. For instance, if you're on AWS, you could use Glue Data Catalog and start with this, with cataloging your data. What else is there? What kind of things are like What's there? 16 data governance tool. Atacama. Apache Atlas. Axon. Precisely Irvine. Irvine I know, or I've heard about. Talent. These kind of things. But I'm not deep enough into the topic that I can give you any tips on it. It's difficult. Oh, a question from the other side. What prior non-data engineering experience could be interesting for a data engineering recruiter? Oh, okay. For instance, can quality automation be relevant? Also QA. I'm terrible with these abbreviation SDET. Be a trampoline for later moving to dev positions. Like I mean everything that is that has to do with quality and comes out of the software development sector. That is an important topic, and that is also for a data engineer. You need to be able to set up quality assurance and or quality tests and run these. So this is something to look for. That's, I would say, a software engineering basic thing that you can use. This could be interesting as a recruiter, because software development is a part, right? Yeah. So, but it's only a small part, right? As a recruiter, I would look at the fit. How does the skill of the others, basically the data engineering skills, the skills of working with data, and the impact that this person had, fit to the goals of the position that I'm hiring for? I think that is the biggest thing, right? How can data engineers prepare themselves to keep up with the AI hype in a constructive way, alongside with huge volume of distraction around AI? AI, yes, it's the big thing. AI is, everybody's talking about AI. AI is going to replace engineers, scientists, everybody. Keep the hype down. And that's a really cool segue to what I was talking about. One thing that we engineers can learn with AI and can work with AI is, and I put this also on the GitHub today. So where is it? Did I just close the cookbook? Yes. So when you look at, let me quickly go back to the updates. So one thing, Gen AI, or retrieval augmented generation, that is one of the things that I see for us engineers as an interesting topic, right? Companies don't want to share their data with OpenAI and other platforms. They want to do stuff in-house. They most likely already have stuff in-house, but this whole process of, working with a pre-trained model that runs within the company or runs within your platform, and therefore it doesn't send the data somewhere and it's private, that is something that is very important. So I took one of the examples from Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch has a really nice example where they use a help desk, in a help desk setup, where they use chat protocols from a help desk, and they basically, with Llama Index, they index them into Elasticsearch, and then you can ask questions to the algorithm. And what I have done with this, I was thinking, let's do this locally completely, right? Let's not, because they were using Elasticsearch Cloud. I was thinking, let's host this locally on your machine through Docker, and then basically Docker with Kibana as a UI, and then work with this. And I think it's a really cool project because, like, I can show you here code examples, GenAI RAG. Basically, what you do is you have this conversations JSON file from Elasticsearch, guys, where here's the text, and it's basically a JSON with or an array with multiple JSONs in them, and you use this. You basically ingest this into basically get the documents from the file, and then you are going to you create a vector store, right, as Elasticsearch, and then did I comment stuff out? Oh yeah, then this was actually the example for the Elasticsearch Cloud, but we did this locally, and then you basically create the embeddings, split the sentences, and then put this into your Elasticsearch. And what you then can do, you can write queries and can say, okay, what policy number does somebody have? Give me a summary of these kind of issues, right? So this is very nice because this way you can actually query data from it and you can work with it. And I was thinking, okay, how can we expand this? I created a fictional CV for somebody. And I was thinking, okay, what could we do? And this doesn't work right now, but I think it's a cool way of doing this, basically extracting the text from the CSV. And I'm using a PyMU PDF library for this. This will then return the text. And then we could use actually Mistral as the GenAI model, basically the chat model, to create us a JSON that we then can feed into Elasticsearch or index for Elasticsearch like the other text. It doesn't work right now, but I think that is a really cool topic. It works as far as the example from Elasticsearch, but this right now doesn't work. And I think these kind of things, that is important for us engineers in the future to say, okay, how can we make this available to use for people within the company? And not just with external tools. How can we index our documents that we have and basically create a knowledge base within a tool like Elasticsearch, where we can then ask questions that knowledge base? I think that is something super, super important for us engineers. Question: what is the big hype for Apache Iceberg and data lakes instead of managed data warehouse like Snowflake? The thing is, these kind of managed things like, let's forget about Iceberg for now. When we look at the data lake, right? You look at the data lake. What is the big upside of a data lake compared to something like Snowflake? If you need to store a lot of data, the data lake is very simple and is very cheap. So if you put a lot of data into Snowflake, it will become quickly very, very expensive. For a data lake, who cares? Then the data lake is very easily accessible and modifiable by all kinds of tools. And that is also a big thing, right? Now, the big downside of this is compared to something like a relational database. And I can bring this maybe up here. There. I had one side before, earlier. One sec. Let's get me on this side. So the idea or the the problem with the data lake is that it's not a transactional storage, right? Transactional storage, something that your typical relational database is. Oops, right? Your typical relational database is a transactional storage, so it has atomacy, basically here, guaranteed that each transaction is a single event that either succeeds or fails completely. You don't have that with the normal data lake. There is no halfway status, can be. Consistency ensures that all data written is valid according to defined rules of the data lake or of the data store, basically, ensuring that data is accurate and reliable. With a normal data lake, you can just, like, who cares? Who knows? What is in there, right? Isolation, that multiple, basically that transactions that are happening do not interfere with each other. And durability is that once something is done, once the transaction is done, once something is processed, it's done. And these kind of things, these are difficult to do with to solve with something like a normal data lake. And that's why people are so hyped about these topics, because you can actually use the data lake, store data very cheap in the data lake, and still have that transactional aspect that people are looking for. And I think it's a cool topic, and we're going to look into this for the Academy as well. I see this also for 2025 as one of the big interesting topics. I'm sorry, I'm a bit behind with the questions. I'm interested in transitioning to data engineering in 2025. I have seen a plethora of courses and materials, and it has left me very indecisive. What should I do in your... what is... wow, this question. Basically, what's your advice? So, Natalia, one of the things is, first of all, for you, you need to figure out, okay, where do I want to go? Which jobs do I want to target? Right? That's the important part. Figure out where do I want to go. And for that, you can just go to LinkedIn, search for jobs, and then do a bit of clicking around and trying to find out, okay, which tools, which things do they require, which data platforms, and then go this direction. It doesn't make sense to just jump here and there and here and there. You need to have a few things. Now, I don't know what your starting point is, right? Where do you start? What skills do you have? I don't know, Natalia, but I think that is the very important thing to start with. Is you need to figure out, okay, where do I want to go? What are companies requiring? There is stuff that companies do require, that companies like, but as I said, with the where I was talking about the Academy, like, you can never go wrong if you have Python fundamentals. Here, Python fundamentals that allow you to transform the data, work with data, access APIs, and so on. SQL knowledge, understanding how platforms work and how data is modeled in different use cases, and then let's say you just jump into one of these platforms, or you say, I'm looking into Snowflake and DBT. I'm going to start looking into Snowflake and DBT because I'm coming from a data analytics world. And then because after that, you can then say, okay, how do I get the data into Snowflake? But let's start with DBT for transforming data within Snowflake and get to learn Snowflake. I think that is something, this kind of focus is something very important that you need to do. And I say this to all my students, if it's the coaching students or the Academy people, it's very important to keep a focus to try to find out where do you want to go, and then do it. But just jumping around, that makes no sense. I always, like for these things, I always try to make this as practical as possible, right? So Spark fundamentals, Databricks, the Snowflake one, the DBT one, these are all based on like small small projects. Same here, like the streaming, the AWS, Azure, GCP, modern data warehouse and data lakes. These things are all basically project based, where you can have an interesting goal. You can follow that goal, do that, document this, create your portfolio, and so on. I think that is very important. Data Hub is a nice data catalog. That was towards the topic that we were talking about further. What's the appropriate strategy to ensure data quality from source to target? Hey, that's something. Let me bring something up. I quickly need a second to bring that up, and because I have that on a not YouTube, on one of my slides for my Platform and Pipeline Design 2 course. So I can quickly bring this up. Just a sec. So while I'm searching, I hope everybody here has a good time and hope you have a nice day. I hear Thanksgiving is coming up in the US. We don't have that here in Germany, so I'm not that familiar when it is. 1 sec. Where is it? Here. Okay, this okay, this is a bit more complicated, but stay with me, okay? Stay with me. So maybe I need to get to the right here. So you want to have you're struggling with data quality, right? Where do you need to figure this out, right? And for engineering, it makes sense to look at the individual stages where you can check the data quality, right? Let's say you extract data from or a active data source. Some kind of a tool is sending you data into an API. So what would you do? You would check the data quality here in the API, right? Let's say you have an ETL job that takes the data from an external API and that takes the data from an external database. You would check if the data quality in that ETL job actually is okay, right? You would check it here. Then you would say you store your data in the data lake, or with the API you push this into a message queue or something. After that, let's say in the streaming example, you process your data, right? The data that's come in, where you said, okay, the quality is good. Now you process the data. You're also going to write checks here, right? You're going to check out, okay, after my processing, does the data have the right quality? Have I messed something up? Right? In this case, it's important. The other way around as well, let's say you write an ETL job that accesses data from a data lake or from a data lake, basically. And you want to write this into a transactional database or into a analytics store. You would check your data here, your data quality, right? That's also important. Check this here. So in each of these steps, you would check it. If you have an ELT job where you say, okay, I'm extracting the data from somewhere and I'm writing it directly here into my analytics store and I transform it, in this transformation, you would check, is the data quality good? If somebody accesses the data through an API, you would make a check. Is the data quality is the data that I'm getting from the transactional database actually okay, or do I need to send out errors or write messages into a monitoring system or observability platform, right? So in all of these kind of instances, you would look. So there is not a single point where you do the data quality. It's in every step. And now these were all individual steps, right? This was a one-step process here. Getting data from an external database and putting it into a data lake. This is a one-time thing, but this could also be like here. extracting the data, processing it, writing it back, extracting it again, writing it back, here, there. So that kind of things, it's very important to look for the data quality from source to target, right? You check the source, you check the target, and everything in between where you process the data. I actually missed this one here. What does the technical interview? Does a technical interview for data engineering look like? Well, for data engineering, the technical interviews can be very different, not difficult, but different. Always depending on what people look for. So very often they look for: do you understand the tools that they require? Do you understand the processes? Can you code? Do you fit to the team? Like these kind of things. Depending on the company, maybe they are doing first coding tests and then they get you to the interview. But think about I think it's the same thing for every other job. Think about from the perspective of the person who wants to hire you. Like, are you a good fit to their goals? What they want to do with you, what problems you need to solve. And that is, I think, the most important things. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, look into our Data Engineering Academy. It's there for professionals. It's also there for beginners. You can always learn something new. Right now, 30% discount. Black Friday, with the code Black Friday 2024. You can just go in here and then can select what you want, and then at the checkout, you actually get 30% extra here. So that is this. What's the best resource? What's the best resource to understand deep knowledge about Spark data processing? So that's always the thing. How deep do you want to go? So let's say you're already a reasonably good engineer. Not recently. You're already let's just say a good engineer. You already work with Spark. You know how it works, but you want to dive in deeper. For these cases, me personally, I always recommend buying a book. Buy yourself a good book about Spark. And there are books out there about the individual Spark or also other individual tools. Especially this is important if you're using it in your day-to-day business. I've done this multiple times in my old job. Spark, Kafka. Back in the day, I also had Hadoop and HBase, these kind of things. Get a book. You can. These books are, yes, they are thick. They might be here and there boring, but you use them most likely for their detailed knowledge, not for writing this cover to cover, right? So these books then allow you to go deep into individual topics, and that is always what I recommend. Yes, the documentation can also help for these tools, but I would actually prefer a really, really good book about a tool. SAP ETL engineer with 14 years of experience, data engineer recommended or not to pivot? I would not. I don't think pivot is the right way here. Maybe enhancing this with engineering, right? The data needs to come from somewhere and needs to go to somewhere, right? And in these bigger companies, SAP is just one of the pieces, right? So I would look into what is on the other side of SAP, basically on the one side towards the user towards the user, and on the other side towards where does the data come from, what are we doing before that. I think that is something that I would do, especially if you already have years of ETL experience. Like, how can you add knowledge to your current knowledge base. Don't start from zero. Never, with a lot of experience, never start from zero. I would never start from zero. Always try to do talent stacking or like put something new on top of it. Put something new on top of it to make yourself more valuable for companies. I think that is the big thing for you, Ashish. Why would I choose your courses over the likes of Maven Analytics? So, okay, I don't know Maven Analytics. Let's look at Maven Analytics. Maven Analytics, data engineer. Maven, is that Maven? Oh, oops. Is that Maven Learning? Maven Analytics, Analytics Engineering, Data Engineering courses. What do they have here? Data engineering courses, data modeling, data infrastructure, database administration. So there's not a lot here. For serverless data engineering project, on AWS, you can also do this in my academy. That's easy peasy stuff. Design leadership at scale, operations. Sounds interesting. Data professionals. Using Snowflake, you can also do this with, yeah, I mean, this you can also all do here with my academy for $750. Like, my stuff is like, for me, you get 30 courses, and these are on the point courses that you, with no fluff around it, for $260 right now, for $184. Like, it's it's cheap. Data informed design, architecture revolt, hands-on SQL for analysts, master data. This all sounds like fluff here. Transform your data stack with dbt, like design systems. I think this is only a fraction of what I have in the academy. And do you need to pay all these extra? How does that work? You need to pay all these extra. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that's the thing. Take a look at the academy. There is I always say, and it's really true, there is more content in the academy that you will ever need already to excel as a data engineer. The only problem is you need to actually do it. You need to go through it. And this does not need to cost $750. This 1 year costs $264, and this can change your life. And I don't understand why people always look at these $450 courses, $750 courses. If you want more, you can get into my coaching program, where I and with the help of two other coaches, we help you excel through these kind of or through Zoom calls every week, right? And a custom learning plan. But for most people, the academy is absolutely enough, and you just like, I don't understand why you would look at these other things when you can have everything in one place, right? I built the academy to have everything in one place and for one price, not to have individual courses and individual pricings. And yeah, modern data stack said to be modern data stack is said to be modern, but it does not have many functionalities that tools like SAP provide out of the box, because they're not made like SAP. SAP has its use. It's very structured. It's like for 1 year I've developed SAP applications, right? So I know how SAP works. I have coded SAP processes. I've done it, right? I also create interfaces for this and so on. It has its role, and it's good, and especially because it's so transactional and so process driven. and a user interface driven where people can hack in stuff. SAP will not go away. It's great. The modern data stack is basically, and that's what I meant before, is everything around SAP, right? The whole data processing around SAP. So, do you think data engineering will remain a perspective and actively hiring field? Yeah. Data engineering positions seem to grow in numbers. Many startups focus on developing data tools, platform as a service, and building pipelines for ML researchers. I think this is only one part. Oleg, one of the big things that where you need data engineering, and I'm always talking about this. It's not just building a platform as a service. Software as a service platform, and so on, a tool. Every company has data, and they are processing data. They want to do something with the data, either analyze it or use it for their production or like of goods and whatever, right? And for that, you need some kind of engineering. You need a data platform to host this, to enable this processing. And somebody needs to actually do this. And that's where the engineers come from. The scientists and the analysts, they are at the end of this process, right? Because then the data is already prepared. It's already there. But you need engineers who can actually get the data from the source to these people, or to the systems like SAP where the data has then been processed, and SAP, some kind of analytics processes are started. Right. So I think engineering, finally, a lot of people figured this out. They were hiring scientists like crazy. Scientists did the proof of concept, and then they figured out, so how do we automate this? How do we bring this into production? And that's where the engineers come in, and that's why there are so many engineers needed right now. How to approach our learning path and tech stack in data engineering? Which page and channels to follow for latest trends? Latest trends. I mean, there are a lot of good people on LinkedIn to follow, right? I always post interesting stuff, but also I think in the last live stream I was talking about the Byte Go newsletter that I really like. I get this I don't know if this, no, I think I don't get this every day, but it's like a newsletter that comes out all the time. That is really, really cool. I really like that. Yes, stuff like that. I think you need to have a good knowledge and a good applicable knowledge so that you can actually do hands-on stuff. Don't focus on learning everything and staying up to date with everything. Very often you just need to hear it once, maybe look it up, and then keep it in your mind that if you need it later, you can actually recall it. That is something that is very, very important. And I do that. I look around and I try to get up to date. No, I'm trying to stay up to date. Instead of, in terms of tech stack, if you're on AWS, I mean, there is for instance, or a cloud, Azure or GCP, there's a limited stack, and that is enough. Yeah, here's one thing from a LinkedIn user. He can bring data out of SAP and set up a data pipeline to migrate to a cloud service, to OLAP, like where you build a data warehouse on, or a data, I'm adding here, or a data lake, using both SAP and data engineering concepts. That's what I meant, right? You can work on everything outside of SAP. Somehow the data needs to get in. So figure out what can I work on to get the data into SAP, or then extracting the data from SAP and putting it somewhere towards the user or towards other platforms where you can work further on it. That's a very good user. Unfortunately, I don't know your name because it's just getting this bad as LinkedIn user here. Hey Andreas, do you fully cover in your academy a development of data pipeline design and development for collecting of data from an API to a database? Yes. API that give access to IoT data. Well, with IoT data, we have stuff with time series databases where you extract data like this here. Let me show you. By the way, that's not me farting. I'm moving this thing here around. I have this thing where I change the scenes. If I move this makes this noise here. We have that in. Where is this? I think here. I think in TD Engine we have that. No, this here. Time series data. Here. Do we have an image here? I like here where we say, okay, we're extracting data here with Python from Weather API and then putting it into InfluxDB and using this as data storage with aggregations and so on in there, and then use Grafana as a UI and have a client access the data, right? And the other one, for instance, where you could do this, so for instance, instead of the Weather API, you could use something different. Or we have, I think also in the GCP one, we're doing basically the same. Isn't there an example? We're basically doing the same. We pull data from an external API and then feed it into a relational database so that you can use Looker to look at it. Or we are using in the machine learning and containerization. We have here this example where we extract data. That actually still says Twitter. We're using a external news API and you extract the data from the news API, put it into S3, put it into a relational database, and then use a interface to actually access the data and visualize the data. And that Lambda actually does sentiment analysis. Is this a positive or is this a negative news headline? That kind of things you can do in the academy. And of course, also we have stuff like you mentioned, building APIs. Like building APIs with Fast API. That's one of the trainings where basically we show you, okay, how do you access data or how do you work with APIs? Then we set up an environment and we basically show you how can you implement a schema or create a schema. How can you then work with that? Basically create APIs, design the APIs and create the APIs with a Fast API and then document it as well. What kind of images do we have here? All right, so we use that as a design tool and then you basically do the coding in the background and then you can host it and you can test it, for instance, with Postman or other tools. Right, so these kind of things we all do in the academy. What would be your recommendation to get myself started? Oh, Suvar, I don't know Have you posted anything else here? I haven't really posted anything else, so I don't know. I would need a bit more information about you. She already posted this. I already answered this, Ashish. Both questions. Yeah. So I hope you had fun with this. We're an hour in, right? So check out the cookbook. Search cookbook, data engineering cookbook, and then you will land at my cookbook, and you can search. You can check out the latest updates here. I need to do more updates to this. So the RAG example, also the example for the list of the cloud certifications for AWS and Azure. Check out learndataengineering.com, your resource for everything regarding data engineering. As that I'm having the academy. We're also doing coaching. The last coaching for this year starts December 9th. We have 8 slots available for this. And this is basically where you get help from me directly every week, plus 2 more trainers that can help you. We have a private Discord. We have private Discord channels where we help you every day. And basically the academy with, like I said, here we have 30 plus courses, 500 video lessons, over 500. Also, we have reviews on Trustpilot that you can look at. Over 2,000 students. Basically, I need to update this. Back in the in the beginning of the year, we had 175,000 completed lessons on this platform. Over 500 lectures available. But I'm guessing right now it's 700 or something, and over 10 real life projects that you can use and basically do. Yeah. Check it out. Expert-led training. Yep. Full curriculum. Black Friday deal. Save 30%. So choose, do you want to have 12 months access or do you want to have unlimited access to the academy? So you will always get the newest updates, and this access will never run out. Also with the 12 months access, you also get all the updates we do within this 12 months. And if you are already in the academy and you want to upgrade, we also do additional 30% right now for the upgrade from unlimited to from 12 months to unlimited. We usually already give 45%, and now we're giving an extra 30% as well. Yeah, I hope you had fun. I'm going to quit here now, and I'm going to go back on my other computer to answer more Reddit comments. So if you come from Reddit, check it out. And also, it would be really cool. I don't know if you have seen it, but on my YouTube channel, we have put out a lot of videos lately. Ashish, I answered your questions. I already answered these. I'm not stupid. I already answered these, so maybe go back and take a look at them. I just wanted to show you here. No, my phone is ringing. I want to show you here. We have posted also a lot of videos lately. Sometimes with more views, sometimes with less views. Check these out. A lot of interesting stuff, like data engineering was hard until I learned these 5 secrets, about chops, about data pipelines, why the tech sellers in Europe are so terrible. Data engineering, is that a scam? Has LinkedIn destroyed the job market? These kind of things. A few podcasts we recently uploaded from our podcast archive. how I would learn data engineering if I could start over. These kind of things. Check that out. And I hope you had a great time. And then see you next time. As I said, I'm going to go back to Reddit now.